Hello, my friend. Would you like to be healthy and strong? All right, healthy and strong in the chat if that's true for you. Would you like to take good care of your body? Type yes, healthy body again in the chat if that's true for you. But here's the other question. Would you like to make it easier to take care of your body and find out what it needs? Type easy health in the chat if that is true for you. I believe that we have a greater potential than what we have previously tapped into to communicate with our body, understand its needs, and the best course of action in order to help the process. Doctors have done such a wonderful job with research and figuring out so many of understanding of what's going on with the body and courses of action. And there's it, truthfully, I feel an unlimited number of cases because we're all completely individual. And so, even within each case, right, that a doctor works with and categorizes in a certain way, they still adapt, right, as we each are slightly different in how we respond to things. And what if you can continue to help support that process as well with things like understanding what are some of the best foods for me to be eating within what I can be eating? How much more rest do I need to have? How much more exercise do I need to have? Am I having more stress than I should? Right? So, what are some of the other habits that we can tune into ourselves as well to help support the process? And I believe that there's a lot more that we can sense and an intuitive ability that we can continue to cultivate and deepen. There's so many times where we're offered all these different diets, right? There's keto, and then there's vegetarian, and then there's vegan, and then there's paleo, and you can go on and on with the list of diets that have come up over the years. How do you know which one is right for you? What I'm going to say is to listen to your body. And here are some stories to help understand this concept as well. And I'll actually take a sip of water also. So, water is going to be a big key to the health in our bodies. I was taking a jog one day when I was staying in a friend's neighborhood. And I love jogging when I'm out in the woods and I can go a lot longer. But when it isn't scenic, it isn't as exciting. So I tend to stick with my hard and fast rule that I should exercise for at least 30 minutes because it takes 25 minutes to actually get to the true intensity and fat burning stage. So I used to be a personal trainer, so these were things that I used to pay attention to. So then I get at least 5 minutes at that fat burning aerobic state, which is great for the body in so many ways. And probably about 20 minutes into this jog, there's this voice inside me that said, I feel like walking now. And I looked at my watch and I said, nope, I've only done 20 minutes. I need to go 10 more minutes. And my body's like, yeah, I'm done running. And I was like, nope, we got to keep going. My willpower just sort of pushes me to go forward. And all of a sudden, my knee gave out. I barely was able to walk back to where I was staying. And my friend who I was staying with, who's very intuitive, helped me understand more deeply what was going on. And my knee, you could say, was upset, as if it has its own personality, that I wasn't listening to it and working in greater cooperation with my knee. Here's the deal. Those of you who read my book, Healing Happens, Stories of Healing Against All Odds, which, by the way, you could go to healinghappensbook.com to check it out. But you may have read Maureen Bell's story. It's at the end of the book. If you haven't finished the book, I suggest finishing the book. She was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a type of cancer, and given 6 to 8 weeks to live. As she was approaching that point, it was just as the doctors predicted. She was in hospice care, in bed the whole time, 85 pounds, morphine patches, oxygen tubes, unable to get up or eat. And she was having this dream that looked like her body splitting into two and going down two different paths. Her son came to visit to say goodbye because they expected her to die at any moment. As he was leaving, he asked her, "Why didn't you fight?" He remembered the strong single mom who raised him and knew about natural healing methods. Why didn't you fight? She wondered, do I have a choice? Choice. And this really gave this flood of energy and light and love into her body just by having this thought. And she woke up from having that thought, like it's if she went into a dream. And in the dream, it switched to her only walking down one path. But she was starting to get all this insight in that moment and realizing that her body and her soul were like two different beings. And her body, in a way, had its own soul. And we're also like soulmates for each other. So we have to work in harmony. If you go back to the story about my knee, you could say the soul part of me has a lot of willpower and was ready to just go for it and follow the rules, like do the full 30 minutes. I want a great workout. I want my body to be healthy. My body's personality was a little bit more like, hey, let's chill out. Let's smell the roses. We don't need to necessarily push so hard. Let's enjoy things in the process. I can also then listen to my body because I wasn't listening to my body. And so it just stopped working in the way that I wanted it to work. But I can also help train the body to expand its potential. So then you see this sense of working in harmony and congruity together. Hi, Colleen. Hi, Joe. Thank you so much for coming on. And Colleen, you wrote, I wish that you could afford my book. Okay, here's a secret. Go to the homepage for the book website, which is at healinghappensforyou.com, FORYOU. And you can get, it's actually the second chapter, I believe, that I have for free there. So you'll automatically get one chapter to read for free. Then on that website, go into my podcast and my blog. In my podcast, you'll be able to listen to a bunch of the interviews in my book. And in the blog, you'll be able to read a few more excerpts from the book. So there's ways to enjoy the book without needing to buy the full book. So thank you for asking that and for your interest in the book. And just a side note, since Colleen was asking about my book, Healing Happens, Stories of Healing Against All Odds, it has my story of healing from an autoimmune disorder beyond what was expected, and then interviews with 17 other health and healing experts who were healing themselves or others from terminal diagnoses. So the question is, what did they do? What's the inspiration from these stories? What's repeated? What are things that we could do in just a minute or two that people have noticed after doing, their energy increased, or their joy increased, or their health increased? So that's a little bit about what's going on in the book. And what I've also been doing is creating a Sit and Succeed program. And this past Monday night, we incorporated both meditation and neurolinguistic programming to do a couple different techniques that help support our ability to communicate with the body. In the chapter in my book, Healing Happens, Maureen Bell also shares a technique on how to do so. And then you just get to actualize it and practice it in the Sit and Succeed program. So the way to access that recording is to go to avitalmiller.com/members. And I will include some of these links in the chat as well, so it's easy for you to access them. But I appreciate you asking for how to connect, how to tie in, because there's a lot more resources that I have to share beyond just this video. But please be sure to share this video as well so people can get the inspiration. But imagine a world of just high powered, intuitive beings with the ability to understand ourselves more deeply. What Maureen Bell did after that moment, because that was the first time that she didn't feel pain in her body for a few months and felt hungry, was she tuned in intuitively as to what to eat. And when you get the free chapter from my book, it talks about a vegan diet. And Maureen Bell did not go on a vegan diet in order to be healing. So there's really something different for each of us. And it's a finer tuned skill to tune into that because you're not always going to have a doctor in your pocket, but maybe that's a great idea for an app. And so in each moment, even within the spectrum of what your doctor might recommend, although I recommend going to a nutritionalist as well, because I've studied diet a little bit more, but tune in intuitively within the scope of what you're suggesting to eat. And what Maureen Bell actually did was she watched cooking shows and waited until she felt a sense of appetite, a sense of hunger, or craving for food that was coming up in the cooking show. And then her sister would quickly go make that for her. So imagine then all of the ways and means that can help support us in choosing what we need that is best for ourselves. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any more specific questions for yourself, and share your ideas below this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a wonderful rest of your day.